Hey, welcome back to Soda Time Restoration. Mark Cohen here. Tonight is the milestone for the channel. Tonight we finally hit 1,000 subscribers. Something that we've worked on, believe it or not, almost 3 years to get to that 1,000. Thank you, those subscribers out there that's jumped on the channel, been with us. Hard to believe that we've gotten here. At one point in time, you can go back on some of my first videos, I didn't even think we'd get 10 or 12 people watching the channel. I wrote down some notes because I probably wouldn't remember the numbers. We're pretty excited about tonight, but 82,926 views over the last almost 3 years. Two years and 11 months, actually, to today, to get to the 1,000 viewers. 8,450 watch hours, which is incredible. I can't believe there's been 8,000 watched on the channel. 71 videos. If somebody would ask me that I'd be producing 71 videos in a 3-year span, I'd say there's just no way we could pull off 71 videos. But that's where we're at. The channel is growing. I just love what we do. You know what? I got to thank my family, the supporters that I've got, right down to, Sean is my editor. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, family, for being patient. It's just amazing what all has happened in the last 3 years. We got some good stuff coming up. Hang on with us. Thanks for viewing. I can't say it enough, but from my heart, thank you. Hey, welcome back to Soda Time Restoration. Mark Cohen here. Well, we got a new project in the shop this week. First time I have done a 6-case vertical. And this is the first time I've done any work on a 6-case vertical. Kind of the difference between that and a 110, it doesn't have a coin mechanism on it. It's a free Vend. Kind of a cool feature that I like on the 6-case vertical. They'll accept cans. The longer 12 ounce and 8 ounce. But I just kind of started reading up on that and I go, okay, that's a cool thing. You can still put cans in these machines. But they were free Vend, usually used in a grocery store or mom and pop setting where it was sitting inside the store. So probably these machines was never outside. So if you ever see a 6-case vertical, they're probably in pretty good shape because they were probably inside all the time, because you're not going to set one of these outside in the free Vend to where you're hoping people come in and pay for their product. But tonight we're going to start the tear down. This is a 19, I believe this one's a 54. Let's look here right quick. Yeah, that is, as you can see there, that is the 5th month, or excuse me, the 5th. That'd be 1955, 6th month. So one thing to remember always, the year, the transition year for Coca-Cola to do a white cap was in 56. So this was the end of the production of the 110. Excuse me, I keep calling it a 110 because it looks like one. Of the 6-case vertical. And actually it does say 110 on the ID plate. But when you get in the inside of the machine, you will see that it even says 6-case vertical, but on the ID plate it shows 110. So this would have been considered an E110 series, kind of what the body name of them. E meant an upright machine that was electric, but got the wire racks where your 110s have a kind of a metal rack, kind of like your Vendo 81s. Compressors are pretty well the same. Still has the wood frame door. Cool feature, it does have a light. This one was not working right now. We will have that working. This is going to be a complete restoration, complete tear down. So tonight we're going to try to get this thing tore down. I'd like to get it to the powder coater tomorrow, and I'd like to get it the main part of the machine over to the sandblaster so we can start getting some body work done on this thing. But nice machine. Typically if you're looking at one of these machines, especially a 110, I've done a lot of 110s, and usually you'll see a lot of rust out in this bottom area. The lower case looks real good. Very, very nice. The drain even looks really nice. So this one, I believe the family's had this one for a long time, and they just want to get it back up and running and where they can use it again in their, I believe they got a man cave or a nice area they're going to put it on the back area where they can still use it. All right, we'll start on the kind of the front here. Easy stuff to do. The cap catcher is very easy to take off. We'll be taking that ring off and sending that to the powder coater, but simple piece to deal with. There'll be the bottle opener is on its own little bracket. We will go ahead and zip that off right quick. If you're following along with me, get you some bags so you can start bagging stuff. These are kind of unique, the way that cradle's on there. That's a neat feature how they've got that. I've done a lot of machines. I've never seen one with a bracket, little clip like that where it slips over. So you want to keep all those together, bag them separately. We will be sending the compressor off. This one has a compressor that's not locked up, but it is pulling a lot of amps. We could probably put a hard start relay on it to help it, but they want this thing to go another 50, 60 years. And so we're gonna send it off and get it redone. One thing to look at, and I'll show you this, if you're looking to buy one of these 6-case verticals, or we'll even call it a 110 because they have the same selection door, take a look at the wood. And some of this wood is replaceable. It's been a while since I've done any wood, so I'm gonna have to reinvestigate, but this wood is very, very nice. Usually you can't even see these two end pieces. They're usually just gone, and the glass is just sliding in there, but the glass is still tight. So very cool feature that it's got everything still working and not all busted apart. But man, all the glass is good. I always put new glass in just so we can get everything looking like new, and the glass is not that expensive. If you want to clean yours up, I get it, but I will be putting new glass in. Watch these springs on these. These are very, very tight. They will get your fingers. And just like that, the door is off. We'll be taking this one totally apart. There is some pieces here that we're going to take off. This stuff is very nice. This is kind of little fascia pieces. If you can save them, these clean up really nicely. No need to buy new unless you just want to. These screws are going into wood, so we want to protect that wood as much as possible. Especially when you're going back in with your screws, when we're going back together, don't want to over tighten. But my gut feeling, the wood on this one is going to be really, really nice. And there's one of our face pieces there. There is a chrome strip that's along the side here. While it's standing here, we'll just go at it and see what we can get apart. Take some of the weight off this door. One thing about a 110 or 6-case vertical, they are a heavy machine. They're very tall, but like I said earlier, you can use cans on these machines, which is a pretty neat feature. Reading a little bit of history, when this machine came out, this was one of Coca-Cola's first machines that they put multiple flavors in, which I'm sure in the day they were wondering if they were making the right move. But as we see years down the road, they started owning a lot of different other brands, and then the distribution centers kind of had the rights to come and use other brands in their machines, and they sold through their distribution. So it all kind of makes sense. At the time, I'm sure it was a decision they were wondering if it was a good one or not. So if you're writing stuff down, what needs to be replaced, this gasket is a must. You want to do that. It's a selection door one. Now, there'll be one here around the framework, and then there's a one that runs down the side that seals this cabinet off. You definitely need it. And I remember these now. These bottom screws are always gone. So we may have to drill them out. We'll see. We're gonna see what we can get apart without too much work. The top ones come out good. They're out of there. Let's open up the door, and we may even just pull the liner while the door's open. You'll see a set of screws. Take some good pictures of all your decaling if you want to get it right back exactly like original. Funtronics is a good supplier on the Coca-Cola stuff. Soda Jerk Works is another company in California. Both of them are good people to work with. I've been doing business with both of those since '95. But let's start taking this framework piece off here, and let's see what our insulation is going to look like. Usually I pull the door and leave this laying down flat, but we'll give this a try and see how it works tonight. There's a set of screws that are in the inside of this door. These there, I love to hang on to these. Do not lose those. They're little short ones, and why they need to be short, the light bulb's right on the other side. And I have seen many times where somebody has taken and put a long screw in there and it broke the bulb. So pay attention right here. Hang on to these. Do not mix those with all your other ones. Now most of the time I'll stick new screws in. These here I'll probably reuse just because they fit everything really nicely. Looks like the rusty ones are down in here, and this is always an issue on probably a 6 case or a 110. Been my experience. I know you get down in the wood, sometimes the wood's got to be replaced, but try to save the wood as much as possible. Sometimes you can't buy a wood kit, and you'll have to make some wood railing yourself. And I want to say this bottom board, when we get it off, probably gonna need to be replaced. Probably one thing I've never figured out, why they put wood in some of these machines. Just does not make sense, but they did, and they lasted a good long time. But later on you see that they got away from it. I think we're pretty well loose here. Your switch for your light, that will need to come out of there in order for this to come off, I think. And we'll need to get our bulb, and believe it or not, the lens is in really good shape. Let's see if it comes out like I remember it. I think it goes up. Hopefully don't break it. Okay, so we got the rest of the screws out of the lens assembly. We'll go ahead and get it removed. We'll pull it from the inside here. So if you can't get your lens out, you can get the screws all out of it if you can, and then just pull the stainless housing out. It's stuck in there. Cautious because your lens. So if you're trying to figure out how that lens comes out, there is a slider, and the slider mechanism, there's a gap here about so much, not much, just a little bit of a gap. So when you've got that in the machine, if you push up like so, as you can see it moving just a little bit, then you can then get your lens out of the housing and get it up out of there. Then your lens will come down, and then you can get that out of the housing. So just remember, when you're putting that in there, that lens is, and if you break one of these, you can get them, but they're not probably going to be ribbed. It's been a while since I've looked for one, so if you see a ribbed one, be very cautious with it. That's probably an original. Let's continue on. The switch, light switch is out. We've got a screw right here on this trim piece here. Needs to come out of there. All this stainless here, we will be buffing that all out. saving all those pieces. So remember, one of your pieces to order, that little rubber strip, that is definitely one that's got to get back in there, and it fills that gap between that stainless and the body. So it's kind of the seal for that. The bottle door gasket, definitely get it replaced. Save all your stainless. These little caps are kind of tough to come by. New bottle door gasket. I usually try to save everything, and then at the end of the day I go back and see what I need to order. I start my list, because if you haven't done very many of them, you're going to forget some stuff. So lay everything out the way you're going to order it. Got one more little screw here to get out, but we can go on and catch that one here in just a second. I got, I think, a couple more screws left here, and I may have to take a pair of pliers and get these up. See if we can get a hold of it here with any of these Phillips. Yeah, they're all loose. Let's see if we got any left here. One more at the bottom. There we got her. So the liner's off. That'll be a piece going to the powder coater. And look at that insulation. Very, very good. Quite amazing, actually. Just don't see them that good. The wood is really nice. That will clean it very nicely. And I'll usually leave the wood in there, and I'll sandblast that real lightly and get that finish cleaned back up, and that wood will look like brand new. I'll go back in there and I'll stain that wood. But man, the insulation looks incredibly good. I'm really surprised. It looks really good. So well, since we're close to the trash can here, we will dump some of this in there. We're gonna at least get the door off tonight. Let me grab some gloves and a mask. This insulation, I know it bothers some people. It does. It is a little itchy. This here is in really good shape. It's going to come out actually pretty nice. All right, we will probably, we'll go ahead and pull the door off right now. Get my gloves off here. Don't be tempted to try to save that insulation. Put some good stuff in. Stuff we've got today is probably going to be a lot better product than what we've ever had, especially probably from 1954. And the door's off. We'll lay this down on its face here. The door is still very heavy compared to, I do so many 81s and 39s. You can definitely tell the difference in the weight. Just a lot more body there. So, looking at the inside, you're gonna see your light switch, the ballast, we will be putting all new in. I'm not gonna trust something. I want that to be all new stuff. You do not want to go back in. You may be able to put a switch in. It might work good for a day or two, and then your ballast goes out on you. I'll go ahead and take the rest of the light out. That's just amazing, all the wood. I just have to keep re-looking at it. Really, this lower piece I might put in, but it actually even looks pretty decent. But since the holes that we're going to be going into are pretty well gone, I know there's a lot of people would refill those, but that screw's going to be going right back into that same spot. This wood here is not rotten, but at least we can get it out and replace it. It's pretty generic. It's just looks like a 1x4 piece of wood, but we'll go ahead and get the light piece out there. And it's probably, in the day, that was probably some pretty good wire, but as you can see, they did replace some stuff, so we'll go ahead and pull it out. But the wire is very brittle. Probably one good reason to definitely change that all out. Gets that pieces out. Let's get we got one more. Get this stainless out of there. Let's see if I can read it. That's a little short Phillips here. trim pieces. Hang on to those. You don't want to lose them. We will be buffing them out, shining them, making them look like new. Let's move over because we got to flip it over to get this other piece off. So let's move over to the lock assembly. The lock assembly is just a few pieces there that kind of hold this whole mechanism in. It's not too bad of a deal to get apart. Cover will unscrew right there, pull it up, but there's a pin that goes through right here. This bigger pin right here. If you pull that one, get my key there, you can pull that up out of there. So the pin I just pulled out was this one right here, and that's how you can drop that all back in. So if you keep this just like this, throw that pin back in there, that will be a good reminder. I'll be sending this one off, and I'll be getting it re-chromed, so it will be coming apart. But you got another pin assembly inside the box, and just make sure it goes back together like that. So everything is off. It will get flipped over and get the rest of our lighting taken out of here. There is a gasket around here. Make sure you order one of those. If not, cut you a gasket so when you set that on, that's not vibrating. Take some of that noise out and the compressor kicks on. We're going to put all this in one area, keep it all in one spot, so we'll always have it in one area. And we'll take this center board out. We'll need to get it out in order to get our light assembly to take out, so the sandblaster's not blasting any sand on our stainless. Make sure you put this wood back in when you do the reinstall. It is a support piece in the middle of this door, and it needs it. Definitely needs it. Get these last two screws out of there. Get this ballast out of the way. And get in there and actually use my driver here. Alright, hang on to that piece of wood. Unless I've missed one of the screws on the other side, this should come out, I think, except for the bottom. That's one reason we got to turn it over. There's those two screws in the bottom that are rusted, and we'll have to deal with that right now. So let's flip it over and see if we can get that out. These last two right here, boy, they are goners. They are goners. Let's see what we can do with them. We're going to drill these babies out. They do not want to move. So we'll try to take a small drill bit and see if we can get right down the center of it there. Alright, let's get the fascia plate removed. This stuff looks super, super good. I mean, it's not even dirty. Very, very nice. You'll have another gasket here. You got this cabinet gasket that I'm pretty sure you can get in a pre-molded. I would strongly suggest that, especially if you're just new at doing a restore. I can tell this lower board definitely has a little bit of rot in it, so it'll probably have to be replaced. Alright, all we've got left is the corner pieces right now. Get them out. That holds those tabs down. Don't lose them. It's just a little angled piece that holds the corners in. Alright. See how this all comes out. That come out good. This is what holds your gasket down. If you look at the factory, they take that gasket and they staple it in there. I'll get you a little close up here. And we got our first broken piece. So yeah, you can probably make them, but too bad on that it's got a little snapped off piece there. But you'll see little staples in there. I've personally never done it that way. We might take a look at it when we get ready to go back together, but probably a good idea. Holds them in place. Do not try to save that gasket. It is gonna be very dry and brittle. This one's actually pretty soft, but I still would not try to save that. All right, the next item we're gonna try to get out, we need to get the compressor out next. Back this up just a little bit. Get the racks out of there. We'll be taking those to the powder coater. All right, let's take those two, I got 4 screws, maybe for sure 4. Get the evaporator out. There'll be 2 on that back side. Drop this down just a little bit. We'll have a little wood plate that needs to come on in order to get the lines through. And it's usually gone. It's definitely gone. There we go. Took a little bit to get it out, but it's out. So, evaporator's loose. In order to get the compressor out, that bottom kick plate does need to come out, and I would not tear those out unless you've got one in hand. Just in case the factory, or the distributor, I should say, doesn't have any, and we got to clean that one up. So we will see if we can get that out of there without tearing up too bad. All right, like I said, you probably wouldn't save this, but if we had to, we could sand this down and rebuff it out. It would take a little bit of time, but we'll see if we can get a new one on it. Compressor is unbolted, so let's see how it's gonna come out of there. So gradually get everything pivoted and put this down on top of here, and the compressor comes out of there. Only thing we got left is a cabinet. The drain tube needs to be disconnected also. So we're going to take these exterior screws out. Okay, we will deal with that drain tube now. It will have a kind of a bracket that goes on the bottom side that holds that tube tight. We will be disconnecting that next. See if we can find it here. And it's right there. Make sure you save this, because when you put the new tube back in, you will need that little holder. And I usually can get a hold of the tube and work it back and forth at first. And sometimes you'll find it will easily break loose like it has. We'll have to see the solder here and get this light on there a little better. Looks like we broke the solder loose there. That is a solid tube. Typically they're so already wasted, they just fall apart, but this one is actually in pretty good shape. It did have some stuff in it, but actually in pretty good shape. But I definitely want to put a new one in. I don't like chancing, especially where the water's coming through there. I like to make sure that's always sealed up. So there we go. Took a bit, but we got her out of there. Let's see if we can get the cabinet cooperate right now. I usually start at the top. So make sure when you're taking the last screws out, you get these here on the side, there is a set of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Make sure you get those out. They're usually covered up with a lot of stuff. And now, let's see if it moves any different. That's a little better. It looks like these are flush at this present time at least, so I don't think we're gonna have issues there. Right now the bottom's coming out better than the top, so we're gonna continue on with those and see what happens. Okay, so the trick is getting these little pins, which are the shelf stands. You got to get them past the wood. I thought for a minute I was going to have to take the wood out, or at least get it loose. So I took this side loose, and then I started working it, and it started coming out. So we'll see if it pops all the way out here for us. Takes a little shimmy. Shim one side, shim the other. Pull the bottom. All right, top's just about out. And there you go. Cabinet is out. First 6-case vertical case I've ever pulled out. Wasn't pretty, but we figured it out. Man, look at that insulation. Looking really good. Quite nice. You know, the wood's not as bad on the bottom as I thought it would be, but we will get this cleaned up tomorrow, and it will go, the cabinet will go to the sandblasting tomorrow, actually on Monday, and we'll get the cabinet sent off to the powder coater guys, and the compressor, we'll get it boxed up in its crate going to the compressor. So a lot of work got done tonight. Thanks for staying with us. Tomorrow we will go ahead and tear the rest of this cabinet down, so hang on and we'll be right back. All right, let's go to the next process. Let's get this insulation taken out, and this cabinet is getting ready to go to the sandblaster. So let's get it out, and like I said, the insulation looks really good. I'll give you a shot of it here. Come out really good. Cabinet, I'll show you a couple things to do on that before we get that over to the powder coater today. And we've got to package up the compressor. All right, give you a shot of what it looks like inside. It really is pretty good. You can tell it's had its moisture issues. Once we get that sandblasted, it's gonna come out really nice. No holes, no belt line rust issues coming all the way through. The machine is just really in good shape, very good shape. You can just tell this one's been taken care of over the years, because the drain tube was just perfect. But we'll get this framework taken out of there, and I've already got the exterior screws taken out. We're going to take the ones on the hinges out right now. I like to keep this together as much as possible, not take it all the way apart. I like to get the frame out all by itself. Those are some long screws that hold these hinges on. If your wood is bad, before you start destroying it, you better be saving it, because sometimes you cannot get the reproduction wood, and you may be cutting your own down. So don't tear it up too bad if the wood's bad. And typical thing, you get them all out except the last one. Okay, finally got that screw out of there. Make sure you hang on to these. These are the backings behind there. You will need that whenever you put that back together. You don't want that spacer to be gone. So remember that spacer that goes behind the framework here. Maybe not. I was hoping we'd get it out of there without taking it apart. So we're going to take two of them out. Looks like it's not going to come out. So we're going to take the top two out. That might be what we need right there to get it out. We're going to find out. So you want to try to keep it together. Pull out one corner, and then I would put it right back together. So before you send your cabinet off, you've got where your shelves right on these, kind of a stainless piece. I've seen people probably powder coat those. I'm going to try to keep them and just polish them up a little bit. So there is a nail that goes in there, and that's what holds those on, a little bit of a nail system. So my apologies if I didn't have that high enough, but that nail will go in there, and that's what tightens it up. So I'll show you how to take them off. They're not too bad. Looks like a lot of work, but it's really not. Take and tap the nail head here. Let's get this down where you can see it. You'll see the nail sticking out. Nail will come out. Those will all come out. Sometimes that piece will come out. Get something wrapped. This is like a water pump pliers. I've wrapped them with tape, so get a hold of them and you just have to give them a little bit of a wiggle. They're not too bad, and they're out. They might even pop out with your fingers, but this seems to make it a little easier. And there's one side. Like I said, it's not too bad. I'll do the other side. And then pull your other stainless ones out. Some of them get pretty loose. Pull out by hand probably. And save those. And your cabinet is ready to go to the powder coater. So make sure you get your bezel off. We're gonna have a group of stuff that we gotta send to the powder coater. I have a little clip here that you gotta get them pulled back. Like that, get that off. That'll go in our stuff going to the chrome shop. Won't have a lot of stuff going to the chrome shop since we don't have the coin mech area bezel. And then our last piece that we need to do, we'll be sending the latch, the lockdown latch from the main door. We'll be sending that off. So we'll get this glass apart here. You can always tell when you get to the bottom of the door, it gets a little bit rusty. The bottom two are not in the door right now. The top ones are in good shape. This wood here is always very touchy. Just catches a lot of moisture. I believe we've got all the screws out. See if we can get it apart. Got a gasket holding us up here. There we go. It is a tight fit, which is good. And as you can see, the wood's not too bad. Looks like definitely something that we can deal with. Looks like we got a little bit of wood rot here. May have to redo that piece right there. Overall, not too bad. Let's get that handle off. This is ready to go. Remember this gasket when you go back together. We will get this sent to the bead blaster, get it stripped down. All right. Hang on, and we'll be back. We're gonna get this stuff cleaned up a little bit, and we'll be back hopefully when this comes back from the bead blasting, and we'll start doing a little body work on this. We'll catch you on the next one.